Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. Welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Now, most people see a car and they think that it's metal, that it's paint, and it's parts. And then every once in a while, somebody comes along that thinks something's a lot bigger with a car. Sometimes these cars even become a time machine. Today's guest owns a Volkswagen that's been on a journey most people would not even believe, even if it was a movie script. Bought from the original owner, sent to Hawaii, brought back to Florida, powered by a legendary engine combination, connected to names that helped shape the air-cooled Volkswagen history. Somehow through all of it, the car is still here. Baby Got Sauce. What a name. Isn't just the 1964 Type 3 Notchback. It's a rolling heirloom with decades of stories attached to every panel. Today we're diving into all of it. Buddy Demers, welcome to DubLife Diaries. What's up?
I'm astonished. I'm looking at that picture, and I'm thinking of all these questions that you're about to ask me and how far that car has come.
Very cool, man. We're gonna dive into it. Before we do, though, let me give a shout out to a couple of my sponsors. First up on the list, those that already know Volksmania magazine. You guys know how I feel. Flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. I'm super grateful for these guys for giving me an opportunity and sponsoring me at a time where I was just looking for some advertising, guys. Most of you know the story. If you don't, that's it. I was just looking for some advertising. Paul Cave said, no, we ain't going to do that. We're going to sponsor you. We're going to give you a section. You're going to become an author. We're going to have you do write-ups. You're going to put some of your podcast episodes inside the magazine. So give these guys a shot. They deserve it. Volksmania.com. You can use DubLife10 at checkout. In the U.S. only, you'll get 10% off your subscription. How cool is that? Second up on the list is Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay. Salty Dub is tearing up the West Coast, Central Florida Volkswagen scene. Epic events and swag. Right now, they've got the vent clips to hold your vent windows open on your classic Dub. On the website, they're $25 for the combo or for the set. Very cool product. I'll flash some pictures of them so you can see them. You get 10% off as well using the same discount code. So DubLife10, DUBLIFE, the number 10 again at checkout will get you 10% off any swag. You won't get 10% off of events. The last shout out is to my buddy Alan Guevara, Vera Upholstery of St. Pete. You guys have been listening recently. You know, Alan builds masterpieces. He's got the new automotive line. These guys are winning awards for the type of work that they're doing. Marine, automotive, and when I say automotive, I mean very, very, very strong, classy, show-winning, bug jam-winning work. Check these guys out, veraupholstery.com. Okay, my friend. Shout-outs and all that sponsor stuff is done. It's back to you. Let's get into it. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So bring us back. Tell us how Volkswagen kind of became a part of your life.
Volkswagen became a pretty standard part of my life back when I was, I want to say 21, 22 years old, living in Salem, Oregon. And I was working at a coffee shop called the Beanery, which is no longer there. Big coffee company, great place. And I met a girl. Her name was Liz Ramberg, and everybody called her Lizard. She had a infatuation with lizards. But she drove a 64 Bug. And through her, I met a lot of good people. And it was the first time I'd ever driven a Volkswagen Bug, nor had I ever seen one up until this point. Up close, you know, everybody played Slug Bug as a kid, but I had never
Right.
hands-on.
Yeah.
But that little thing, man, I was mystified by that car. And we drove it all over the place and everywhere. It was a daily driver for her. And she had a family friend, Ed Edwards, who Northwest Metalworks today. is what he does, custom suspensions. Um, I fell in with him through her, and I ended up with my own bug some years down the road. But he taught me how to keep that thing running for her because she was always having some kind of issue with it, tune up here, tune up there. He taught me everything I needed to know about it. And that is how Volkswagens came into my life, was through good people. And I just glammed onto them.
Hey man, you found the right culture, that's for sure.
I really did, because I grew up in a Chevy household, and my dad's always been a hot rodder.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have a garage full of classic Chevys right now. And I just finished Power Tour 2026 not 3 weeks ago. Driving a '57 Chevy down the road, down Route 66 this year.
Hell yes.
And
Which
one
is
day
the 100 year, right? This year.
it was
Yeah.
very much so. Yes, we
Super.
did 3,561 miles in a '57 Chevy.
Let's go, dude. That is so cool. What a cool story.
I hope to do it in Volkswagens because there was a very large Volkswagen presence there this year.
Yeah, super
But
cool. Yeah, there's a lot of guys I've had on in the past that have that kind of as a bucket list, is to, to arrive up in the northern Chicago area, get all set up and come down and kind of take it across the nation. I always say, hey, when you make the plans to do it, give me a shout. I probably won't come. I probably can't come, but you never know. Hit me up.
right,
I
no,
haven't been
we
hit up yet, but yeah, I think that'd be a really cool thing to do too in a dub.
it is pretty neat to do no matter what.
Sure.
As it starts in Joliet, and we went all the way to Tulsa because that's how far the run went. Some people
Yeah.
carried on all the way down to uh, now I forgot where it ends in California. But one day I told my dad we're gonna have to ship the cars out there and finish it from Tulsa
Yeah.
on. We'll do
So
it.
cool, man.
We'll do it. There was a lot of dubs this year. There was a whole bunch of Beetles and split window buses and double cabs, and right around the middle section, somewhere around where is it, St. Louis, on down to I want to say Springfield, somewhere right around there. A whole bunch of them, like probably I don't know, 70 of them joined us. They didn't do the whole thing, but I don't know how well Volkswagen will fare doing that tour. To be honest, being air cooled, but
Man, the, probably okay, with some minor tweaking, probably okay, especially if you're dialed in. For a road excursion. I just had a guy on the podcast not long ago, Dave Bronin, who's done almost 80,000 miles in just under 24 months in his panel, split window panel, which is not comfortable,
no.
right? And yeah, dude, this guy is clocking miles. Shit, he'd be up for it. And his bus would do fine.
Oh, I'm sure it would on a trip like that. But you got to remember these power tour things. There's anywhere between 6 to 9,000 other people involved.
Holy smoke, dude.
Yeah, you start
Whoa.
rolling into venues and time. You're hours on end, stop and go, bumper to bumper, idling, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got
yeah,
you. Got you.
that's why I haven't taken mine on it yet.
Okay. All right. You had mentioned something when you were kind of describing some stuff about the early days, about your first Volkswagen. So I'm interested. What was your first VW? You said it was a Beetle?
My first Volkswagen, oddly enough, ended up being a '64 Volkswagen Bug, sunroof, Wolfsburg car. And good friend of mine who actually was just down here about a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months now. I actually took him to our Volusia V Dubs monthly cruise. My buddy TJ, he goes by Flower now. Whole life changing experience with him, I guess. One day he can tell that story. But for all due respect, we'll call him Flower. Right, early 20s, right around the time I met Liz, I met TJ in Salem. Became very good friends. We used to longboard together and race downhill racing on longboards. And his
Sweet.
mom, his mom was a probation officer, and well, me and the young and dumb kid I was on probation. So I actually met his mom before I met him, and she drove a '64 Bug sunroof car. Then she sold it and regretted selling it. So TJ found it, and she had bought it back and restored it, and then it got hit. and it sat around for a long time. And then, some years later, his mom passed on, let's just say, on her own terms. And he approached me one day and said, I want you to have this car. You know, I'm tired of looking at it. It just nothing but bad memories. So he gave me the car, and that was my first Volkswagen that I personally owned.
Wow.
Was a '64 Bug, and it was well, at the time it was covered in moss and mold and you know algae, and I had to take a pressure washer to it a few times. And turns out it was a beautiful like Bahama blue color,
Mm.
and it had been after cleanup because it had been fully restored by her, or she had it fully restored by somebody local. But over the years, it sat. And after she passed, it sat some more. And you know how that goes. So I took the car and took it apart and repainted the car a different color. First, it was a big red transformer right on the side of the blue car, the Autobots logo, and then it was then I ended up scrubbing that off and painted the car black. 9 cans of Rust-Oleum black, matte
Wow.
black, that,
Okay.
and
Damn.
just to change the color of the car because he didn't like looking at it. And at this time, we were still really good friends, so we're still palling around. So I changed the whole look of the car with the matte black, painted all the stainless red. And Uncle here in Florida sent me a set of what are they, the 5-spoke, the MP5 spokes that were not polished, but they were cast, like a tan cast color. And then it got to the custom stuff where, I had to tap the relationship back with Ed because this was some years after Liz and I had broke up and separated and whatnot, and went our own ways in life. Um, she's doing great, by the way. If any of you guys hear the out in Oregon that hear this podcast, from what I know, she's doing fantastic. If you know her, tell her hi for me. Um, so she don't drive a Volkswagen no more, though.
Ooh.
Yeah, she got kids. uh,
Yeah,
so
I had to take about 15, 18 years off myself.
right, so the saga of rebuilding that car ended up with me getting back in touch with Ed. And at that time, he had started doing custom suspension and welding work for Nate West of Wagons West. He was kind of helping Nate build his brand. It was right when he started. And then there was Derek Young right next door with Wagon Works, which anybody on the West Coast knows that name and actually knows all these guys I'm talking about. They're kind of the ones that put me where I am today, back in the day.
Okay.
As far as my love for Volkswagens and help nurture it. And hey, I got this part here. You can have it. Throw it on there. This is what you got to do here and there. And it allowed me to build my knowledge. So, and that was my first dub was a '64 Bug. And man, that thing was unsafe to drive. It was solid, but by the end of it, it had a freaking like was it 4 or 6. Put it this way, the front beam was so damn narrow and so adjusted, I had to run Jackman spindle mounts with no front brakes on it because that thing was so fucking narrow. It was, it had extremely notched spring plates in the back. So the camber sat so low every 6 months I replaced my tires.
Oh my God.
But the pan head was flat because it
That thing
scrubbed
must have
everything off
that thing
the
must have
road.
looked so good.
Oh, it looked great. I'll have to
Oh,
send you some pictures sometime.
slam.
It had a white deck lid on the back because the other one rotted out and broke a hinge off it.
Okay.
So it didn't match, but it was a cool like '80s deck lid. It had some brown scalloping on it. And it was really cool. So it was a perfect offset. Um, and those wheels are still floating around somewhere. That same set, the Jackman spindle mounts with the two that were a match set Randars, original Randars on the back. And you'll
Yeah.
see them in the picture whenever I dig it up and send it to you.
Yes.
That car was so friggin' low that it would scrape reflectors off the road and then
Yes.
collect them in the fender wells. And it
Dang.
was static. Like it would get stuck on a speed bump. You have to get out of the car.
I like it.
We hated it.
I'm lowrider culture. My whole childhood, I grew up around lowrider cars, and the lower the better, yeah. So I vibe with that. Now, were you always a Type 3 guy, or did that come later in your life?
No, that we'll get to that part of the story shortly. Uh, it wasn't too far after that. After I built this car. Shout out to Sean Pelton. I went to automotive school with him in Chemeketa Community College in Oregon. He fronted
Cool.
me the money and helped me build my first Volkswagen motor for that 64 boat.
Okay.
And that thing was wild. It was some motor we found sitting around in town. Somebody pulled out of a bus. I have no freaking clue what was in it. Derek Young spotted me a set of Cateron carburetors, the 3234 Caterons that we stuck on there. And he put brass K-line bushings in the throttle shafts for me. So they wouldn't leak. So we compiled this motor that was a hellion. It would get hot and had no end play in it. It would just lock it up. So you couldn't turn it by hand, but it ran like a rape tape with no front brakes.
That's great.
It was definitely not safe. And then somewhere down the line, Ed had given me a set of, I think it was 12-inch subwoofers that I stuffed behind the back seat. And then I put a couple 6x9s in there. So it was bassy and just booming everywhere and destroying people's driveways and
Yes.
broke the transaxle a few times.
Sounds like my
But
kind of deal.
so I had gotten tired of that car a few years later. And right around the corner from my grandmother's house, like 3 blocks, was a 71 Squareback. And I had been watching it and watching it. It just sat there for a year and a half. And I knocked on the door finally with Sean one day. Said, "Hey, man, what's with this Squareback? I'll trade you this bug. It runs, if you're a Volkswagen guy." And he's like, "You know what? Give me $200 and tow it out of here and you can have it." And we did that. I gave him $200 the next day, and
Oh,
Sean
come
hooked it
on.
to his
Dope.
86 300 inline six Ford, towed it all the way back out to Sublimity, Oregon. I put an $80 Bosch fuel pump in it, electric pump, drove that thing for a year and a half. I ended up giving it to Sean to pay for the motor that he fronted me.
Right.
Worst mistake of my life, because that thing was all original inside. It had the Bosch fuel injection in it. It worked. I replaced some of the hoses for the fuel injection. The interior was pristine. And
Oh.
I think Sean put a clutch in it in automotive class, and he drove it for another 4 years. But that was my first Type 3, and I always thought they looked funny. It's like, why do they call the Beetle a bug when these Type 3s look like a bug on the front end, like an actual bug? They look like praying mantis. They're elegant, but they're ugly. um, so that was my first Type 3, and the Nosh is my second.
Okay. So in the, you got a bunch of names you're mentioning. You're clearly a part of the Volkswagen community slash scene from way back when. Compared to now, like what was the scene like when you first got involved with it? I'm not gonna say really compared to now because nothing really compares to, old times or old days, but I don't know, like what was the scene like when you first got into it? Was it like it is now? Was it different to you?
Paul, because when I first started doing this in my life, Ed was the man. He was the guy because he was the one that took all the risk and gained all the reward. Um, on
Clear to
bus.
say this is the guy that influenced you most in the hobby back then.
Oh, absolutely. And we're still friends today. We followed each other, through 25 years now.
Cool, man.
Not as close as we once were, but we still chat, still talk, and check up on each other and whatnot. Like to see what he's doing. But back then, he was the go-to guy, no matter which part of the scene you were in. So Salem, in my opinion, in my observation, Salem had like 3 or 4 different groups of Volkswagens, and you were either hood ride, you were show ride, you were air cooled, or you were credit card ride. Credit card ride being you've got a fully built car that's anything and everything everybody can want and a perfect paint job, and it's all put on your credit card. You didn't do it yourself, basically. Hood ride, we all know what hood rides are because that's a Volkswagen thing. And then you know, air cooled or water cooled and air cooled is in that town. Nopi cars were a huge thing. I don't know if you know about Nopi Nationals or uh, what that whole thing is with the lowriders and the slammed enough events and uh,
So I remember Lowrider
drop
magazine.
zone, as they call it out there.
Yeah, I remember those events being nationally publicized, in the late 90s. I remember the Nopi events.
Yeah, they were huge. They
Huge.
were huge back then.
Yeah.
And I like to say, I like to think that's where Fast and the Furious came from. It was that culture blew up so much that they had to relate in a movie somehow. But okay, so they did those at the Salem. They did what was it? Drop Zone every year would come through Salem Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon. And Ed lived right across the street, like literally across the street from the fairgrounds. But again, at that time, he was the only one doing split window buses. And he did the old buses, like the 58 barn doors and, or well, whatever years the barn doors were. But he's been notorious for quite a few of them. And they were always, he was always changing, doing custom airbag suspensions like Rocker Lane or Dragon or whatnot. Uh, so he was the guy that made the scene. And there wasn't a lot until a few years later. You go there, and it was a very click culture on the hood ride side because there wasn't a whole lot of people that were into it. I tried to be into it, but I was a little late.
Weren't hood enough.
I don't know. I think I was just a little late to the show. And I ended up with a second 64 bug that was a notorious hood ride uh, that was owned by Mikey, who owned Wagon Works originally. And Derek bought it from him. I got that car from Ed, and I traded him a 1964 XLCH Sportster for it. It was a basket case that one of my mom's husbands had given me from Arizona,
Wow.
and I wanted suspension. I wanted badass custom suspension for my car. So I bought that car with that motorcycle, and I dragged it home, and I took everything out of it. And little did I know that was an Australian version bug. So you know, I took what I wanted from my car and I sold the rest of it off. I took the stock shit, put it on that car, put the custom stuff on my car, sold it to some cat out in Silverton for like, I don't know, 500-600 bucks. Not bad come up. Free custom load suspension for my bug, plus 600 bucks on something I was given for free.
Hey,
So
how
trade
we
it,
do
right?
it.
Then I found out some years later that it was an Australian car and it was worth way more than mine was, just because of that. But that car's still around today. Um, and it was originally the stupid low car. And then I turned mine into the second rendition because everybody passed around the original. So by being late to the hood ride scene, that's what I mean. Is I turned mine hood ride off the legacy of something else because, well, I wanted to know what it was about. And by then, Ed had become popular enough, and then I don't remember Justin's last name, but he moved off of Bugs into MK2s and whatnot. And then Nate came along and opened up the suspension company, the Wagons West. And, then the scene blossomed and people came together.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and the part I wasn't privy to until after I met Liz, before I owned my own car, was McMinnville, uh, Emery Motorsports, where Greg and Gary were. They did a 3-day camp out there. There was a Volkswagen camp out. So we'd all go to that. I only went, I think, once. I went out there. Uh, Way cool. And if you don't know who Emery Motorsports is today, they do all the custom 356 Outlaw cars right there in McMinnville. And his son is, I think his name's Rod or Ron. I don't remember. I never met him personally. Um, he's still doing that today. And it's quite the story to tell. But they had a big old piece of property and a Porsche graveyard out there. And from my knowledge of it, is they had bought all the licensed Porsche parts when they outlawed the cars in the U.S. And they bought them all and sat on them for a long time until some deal was up and he was able to go into business reproducing or retro modding, if you will, these cars to custom builds. And then I think he's also the guy that was responsible for the Baja Bug originally
Oh,
back in the '60s.
crazy.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that at one point. And anyway, it was a pretty cool thing to see, and being privy to that, and then moving on to Woodburn Drag Strip, which still goes on today. They do the Volkswagen drags out there, and that's a big swap meet, everything out Woodburn. But once I got a grasp of that, my life changed drastically. Stupid decisions, if you will, and my own follies. So I lost touch with all that, and then I fell out of the Volkswagen scene. Somewhere in there was a '74 or '75 Westie involved that TJ and I, or Flower, if you will, we bombed it all over the coast and until we ran the wheels off it. We called that one the Wheels of Armageddon. And we just take it and our longboards in the back and go sleep in campgrounds and bombing hills. And that was the Volkswagen scene for us. Never really did shows outside of those ones. Never did cruises. It wasn't a thing back then. Today, Volkswagen scene today in that area, I have no clue what's going on. I know the boys are still doing their thing, still holding down the Salem area. They've expanded. I think Nate's almost gone worldwide at this point. And I'm pretty sure Ed is, and whatever he's doing with his Northwest Metalworks thing. Uh, I see him all over the place. I see buses here, no-dos filled with them. All of Nate and Ed's suspensions are all over them. It's wild to see. It's very wild to see. But here we have a culture that I didn't experience over there. I didn't get far enough into it over there. So I hope that answers that question.
So 25 years, 25, 30 years later, what keeps you passionate about Volkswagen still all these years later?
The
Community?
simplicity of the car.
Okay.
How a car can be so simple, so basic, yet so smooth and so fulfilling and elegant and nurturing and raw.
Hell yeah. Needs to be a commercial.
It was, I don't know what it is, man, but I got my hands on my first one, and every one I've owned since, it's just I get that raw passion with them. Like, man, maybe what it is that nobody expects them to be a certain way. Like, you go to a regular classic car show, and everybody expects them to be a certain way. If it's a Ford or a Dodge or a '57 Chevy, they expect them to be a certain way and to have this or that, and expect you not to do this or that to them. Not with Volkswagens. In my heart of hearts, Volkswagens to me it's you. It is the embodiment of you. You make it what you want it to be, and nobody cares that it's not the same as the next guy's, or that it's not 100% original, or that it's got gold scallops on the roof. It's people start caring about the way your car looks when it starts looking like everyone else's, and that's what I love about them is that they don't, and they don't have to.
I vibe with that.
Yeah,
So let's touch on Baby Got Sauce behind me.
yeah.
Tell me about this car. When did it first come into your family's life?
The story as I know it of Baby Got Sauce.
What a cool name too, by the way, man.
Okay, we'll start there. When I finished building the car a few years back, well, when I put the car on the road, because we're never finished building it, I was sitting in my garage, and I'm a huge G Love and Special Sauce fan. He's one of my favorite music artists. And in fact, actually, Brian Batzel turned me on to him when I first met him, and he was a big fan himself. And it stuck with me. The music stuck with me. And I'm sitting in my garage. I turned the key. Everything worked out as planned. It started right up. I took it for its first drive in my hands, and man, was that thing just zippy, zippy, zippy. Zoom, 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 zoom all over the place. Zoom, 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 like the old commercial used to say. I
Mazda.
got home and I was like, all right, so now what? what am I going to call this car? And that song came on, Baby Got Sauce. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect. As I'm looking at the car, I was like, it's a saucy automobile. So there it goes. So we named it Baby Got Sauce. Okay.
Okay.
That's what it says. That's the front, custom front license plate says. Now, this car, from my understanding and everything I put together, because I never talked to Uncle about where he got the car, only that he had the car and what he's done with it. Somewhere around 1987, the car was purchased from the original owner. Now, I have the bill of sale and I have the title, and that person was Daytona or Ormond or Winter Park somewhere. I'll have to dig it out. And Uncle bought the car and he shipped it to Pupukea. That's where he's from, in Hawaii. And that's where him and Auntie lived. And he drove the car all over the place. You know, it was his favorite car. He was the man. Nobody had notchbacks back then, or nobody even knew what they were.
Yeah.
So he drove it all over Hawaii. And, you know, he was big into the Volkswagen scene over there. Because, oh man, I don't know if you've ever been over there. I haven't personally.
I haven't
I have
heard.
a lot of friends that are from there and family that's from there. And Volkswagens, dude, they are 10 to 1, if you will, on the classic cars over there.
Wow.
So the scene is ginormous. And they're all into the bracket racing and the autocross and drag racing with those. And to the
Yeah.
point where the serious guys are back and forth between California and shipping the cars back and forth, doing that to this day.
Damn.
And that's what Uncle did. Um, so he took this car back there and he drove it. He just drove it all over the island and working. And somewhere in mid-90s, him and Auntie moved back here to, where's Universal Studios at? Was that?
Orlando.
Yeah, it's in Orlando, but the section Winter Park or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they lived right across the street in a condo.
Okay.
And he brought the car back and still drove it. And that's when he was a maitre d' at one of the five-star restaurants up there. And then eventually they moved down here to the shores where Auntie's father lived, and her sister, and her sister, she's got a twin sister, which was my stepmother, married to my dad for 14 some odd years. They all moved down here to the shores, down here in Daytona, and Uncle drove that car back and forth from Orlando when he wanted to, you know, quite often, quite often. And he became friends with, when he moved down here in the early 90s, he became friends with Scooter from R&S Performance. R&S, some people call it R&S Racing. I call it R&S Performance, which Scooter's retired now, but they were best friends. Those two built a relationship that I've only been told about. You know, Uncle would leave for work early every day and he would bring Scooter lunch and they would sit and talk about Volkswagens. And he helped them build he had I think it was a 69 bug. There was a race bug that I believe now that her health is better, Scooter's wife is racing again, is racing his car now.
Wow.
And you'd have to talk to JC or Brian, the Clark brothers, or maybe Ben Anderson would know better than I do where that car's at today. Because I don't really talk to Scooter much. I didn't really know him outside of this car. But anyway, he would take him lunch every day, and they built a relationship to last a lifetime. And it's quite funny to hear him talk about it because, you know, Scooter's this little old, in my opinion, a little old curmudgeon white guy, and you got this little old Hawaiian dude. And you see him with Volkswagens together. Look at the pictures that Auntie showed me. And it's just funny. It's a funny thing to say, but, you know, those two are inseparable as far as friendship goes.
That's
And
very cool. That's what this Volkswagen community does. Brings people together, relationships, friendships like that. So cool to.
exactly, that's exactly what it was that car, and that notchback. The Scooter was, I guess, the only one that knew about those cars around the area, and it formed a bond between the two. And you know, that's where the car came from. And then, of course, when Uncle passed, the car was left to me. Uh,
Yeah. So what are some of your earliest memories of the car? I guess
I
become.
moved.
Becoming
And
yours. What condition was it in when you took the wheel?
when I first saw the whole car was anthracite gray, the original color of the car. That was 17 years ago now when I first moved here to Florida from Oregon. My uncle took me for a ride. The first time I'd ever known what a 5 speed was in a Volkswagen. I remember bombing across the Dunlawton Bridge going back to the shores. Wow. Oh, you got fifth gear? Yeah, man, we got fifth gear. And that was the first time I'd ever seen the car or rode in the car. Not my first time seeing a notch. That happened years ago. Some cat named Joel that was one of Ed's friends. Uh, didn't know him that well, but he had one that was almost the color of your shirt, actually, in a white top, I think it was. But anyway, so that was the first time I saw Uncle's car. Shortly after that, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. I had come here. My grandfather was down here, and he was not. He was battling cancer. My grandfather was battling cancer, throat cancer. And I come here. That's when I first saw Daniel's car, and he took me for a ride in it. And then I went back to Oregon because my daughter was just born, and my first wife and I we couldn't afford to stay down here very long. So shortly after that, going back to Oregon, my grandfather passed away from his battle with cancer. Less than a year later, I moved down here. My wife and I separated, and I moved down here to come work for my dad. But at that time, right at that time when I moved down here, we took the car to Kevin Chamberlain, Chamberlain Rod and Customs at the time, or what do we call it? Air Cool Bros now is what it's called. He's a pretty area renowned painter and Volkswagen guy here in Volusia County. He actually did the paint on the top of the car, did the touch up and the pearl clear that's on it now. We took the car to him, and he took the whole car apart and then fixed all the metal work. And the car got painted that cream color with the anthracite gray top, the two-tone color is when it went two-toned. The car sat around because by that time, Uncle had developed lung cancer. So the car went to scooters and put the motor and trans combination in it. And it sat in scooters for years on years because we never knew what to do with it. My father, he was trying to facilitate putting the car back together before Uncle was not able to drive it. It never happened because Uncle's health went downhill pretty quickly, and we could never figure out what to do with the car and get the parts for it. Because at this time, they weren't being reproduced, so they came from the UK. A lot of the parts for that car, interior wise, motor parts. So the car sat, and then it came to me. I want to say 5 years ago now, maybe 4, after he passed, and God rest his soul. And Auntie put it on a tow truck right straight out of scooters, unfinished, and it showed up to my house one day. 4 flat tires, stuffed full of parts. I mean, stuffed. There was bumpers hanging out of the windows. There was parts in the front and the trunk, and all the interior was stripped out of it. It was all bare metal inside, so it was all piled in there, and all the other stuff I had picked up, and it sat in my garage for a year and a half before I even touched it. And I went through it all, and I spent the next year and a half just swap meet after swap meet. I don't need this. I don't need that. Selling all this stuff, which hindsight, I didn't realize a lot of it was there was rare and collectible parts, not just run of the mill parts. So somebody got a lot of real good deals, and you're thankful for it. You better be thankful for that. But I sold a lot of the parts, and to pay to rebuild the car. And finally, when I got to it, I spent probably 6.5 months putting the whole car back together in my garage, and with my wife, like, "Are you coming to bed? Are you coming?" No, not till I get this part done. And I taught myself about those cars with a book and a manual, not a whole lot of Google, but a book and a Bentley. And that's just the person I am. kind of one of those idiot savants when it comes to mechanical stuff. It's I look at a diagram and boom, I picture it in my head. I look at a part and I can take it apart and an exploded diagram in my head in all aspects of mechanical stuff. And that's why I
Yeah,
do what I do.
that's
Um,
that's wild. But you're trained there, right? I mean, you went to school for this, right?
oh, basic automotive. Yeah, all they wanted to teach me was Fords. Everything else I just learned on my own. But the industrial side that I do with my family business and what I've done, growing up, is
Right.
it's all mechanics. Anyway, so I rebuilt this car, and my wife's like, "What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What are you doing with all these parts?" I mean, this whole room I'm sitting in was nothing but parts. There was no walking room in this room. In fact, there's still a dash cover sitting right over there. Sean Russo, if you're listening, you're supposed to come pick that up. Uh, so, and that's how I got the car. And then 2 years ago, I put it on the road as you see it, or well, as you've seen it. But it all changed in November to what it is today with the gold roof and the interior.
The engine is special, right?
To some,
Yeah.
it's special because Scooter built it.
Yeah.
To
So tell
Scooter,
me tell
it's
me
just
about
another
that.
motor.
What makes Scooter building it special? What makes the engine unique?
Well, it's an 1800. It's
Okay.
built on a 74 crank and 88 thick walls, real 88 thick wall pistons and jugs, which makes it a flat 1800. Um, I'm not entirely certain where the parts came from because, to my knowledge, when I asked Scooter about it, it's a 71 block, it's an 1800 motor, but he built it in the early 90s for some cat named John Bowen out of DeLand. And it was a peppy motor. And this thing's got, this is back when FAT performance was a thing. Uh, Head guys, performance heads. And it's got a set of FAT performance heads on it. Digging into the car, because the Scooter didn't tell me too much about what's inside of it. He just said, it's just a motor I threw together back in the 90s. I'm surprised it's still running. Um, but having the motor in and out of the car so many times, and taking everything off and looking at part numbers and whatnot and doing my own research, it's a Berg crankshaft. It's a 74 Berg. It's got a 74 millimeter Berg crank, and it's got a matched light and flywheel in it. It's got Berg high flow oil pump on it. Not too certain of piston and rod combination, but I know it's got FAT performance heads and big valve heads in it. It's got dual DC and F Berg special carburetors on it. It's this thing's got the friggin' cherry shit in it, man. And it is a very cherry motor to run. It's a little temperamental. But that's what makes the motor special, is because back in those days, that's what people did. How to hot rod your Volkswagen. I'm
Right.
fairly certain that motor was built off the specs in that book. And the only reason I know that is because I've had the majority of that motor apart, short of switching or sort of splitting the case. Because I'm just that person, I get one little oil leak. Oh, on the bench it goes, tear it apart. And as I'm doing that, I'm okay. What is this? What is this? What is this? This worked obviously for a very long time. I want this back, but it's not easy as plug and play with that thing. So you gotta match this. Does this work with that? And it's I came to find out quite a bit of what was in that motor, uh, and to me that's a very special thing because somebody purpose built this for a reason. Um,
How
it's not.
often does the question come up of hey, what's in that thing?
Put it this way: if I go to a show, you won't find me near my car.
Yeah, because you get asked too much.
Yeah. When I first brought that thing to Nodo, the very first year I brought it to Nodo, I made the mistake of sitting next to it. And by the end of the day, I wanted a pre-recorded DVD on a portable player that said just hit play. I was so tired of talking about it. But it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. And, most dub guys don't really ask me unless it comes up in conversation. It's everybody else. So, well, they know. They know. You don't talk about Bruno. So, uh, quite a bit, enough to be annoying.
You had mentioned John Bone earlier.
Bowen.
Bowen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bowen. Tell me about John Bowen for people that don't know who John
I
Bowen
no,
is.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. I've never met the guy.
Okay.
Uh, but what I know is a legacy that I've been able to find through talking to various people that know the name.
Well, that's what I
And
want. That's what I
through
want to hear.
Uncle, a little bit from Scooter. I think I
Okay.
talked to JC about him for a moment. And the best I could come up with and piece together was he got into some trouble in the 90s here in Volusia County. I tailed it to Hawaii to get out of trouble. Took his 65 notchback with him and took that motor and the transmission, which we'll get into in a moment,
Yeah.
and took it all back to Hawaii. And during at that time, Uncle ran into him in Hawaii, and the guy disassembled the car. Uncle bought the motor and trans, which was a Mikey 5 speed. And if you know anything about Mikey L up in Portland, Oregon, when Berg developed the 5 speed, Mikey L developed the 5 speed. And there was a big clash, and it's all over Berg's website, trash talking him. So, about the 5 speeds. And that's the guy he's talking about in those tech articles about the way they do this and that, how it doesn't work, and da, 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 da. Yeah. So he bought this motor and trans from him and shipped it back here and put it in that car, and had Scooter put it in that car. Which, if you ask me, I don't think Scooter had ever expected to see that stuff again. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Um, but here it is. The Mikey 5 is now sitting in my garage on the bench because fifth gear went out. Well, I got to replace the fifth gear. But the motor still lives. And the local lore was the guy got into legal trouble and hightailed it out of town. And that's all I know about him.
Okay.
Uh, and that's it. Maybe somebody listening to this has more information on the man. I'd like to meet him one day if he's still alive. Hey, I got your motor and your trans, man. I still have a bill of sale for the 65 notchback that motor came out of. That I don't know why Uncle has it, but it's there. It's in the paperwork, and it's got his name on it. So it's yeah,
Do you
it's
think craftsmanship in the VW community today is here, or do you think that it's disappearing?
well, that's a subjective question. Um, I do all my own work. My interior work was done by me. My mechanics is done by me. The only thing I haven't done on that car, particularly, is the rotating assembly in the motor. Um, but I am that guy. I am the craftsmanship guy. If I want it done, I learned how to do it. I taught myself how to do the interior. In fact, my sewing machine's sitting right here next to me, um, that I bought to do the embroidery work in the car. Um,
Sick.
I see craftsmanship's not gone in the Volkswagen community, but it's coveted and it's held close and it's not passed around like it needs to be. Because you get people like me that are multi-talented, people like Gary, Jawbreaker.
Yeah.
He's very good at doing things that he taught himself how to do. He does things for other people. Uh
Lots.
AC, yeah, Jeff Gardner, AC Auto House. He does things for other people. So they sell their craftsmanship. I don't. I have very few people that I help. I offer to help a lot. Very few people do I charge to help. Let's put it that way. I don't
Gotcha.
make a dime off the craftsmanship
Yeah.
unless it's extensive. Um, so it's kind of, to me, it's a subjective question because a lot of it's about, is it there? Sure, it is. Is it widely publicized? No. Um, Not a lot of people ask, hey, who did that work? Did you do this yourself? Because a lot of people assume it's one of the big five. This big five is a generic statement that I use to say, because there's only so many people that do it for everyone else.
Yeah.
John Moe. I don't know if you know who John Moe is. out in California, the guy that helps Charlie down here at Daytona Air Cooled, West Coast Core. He
Mm.
builds motors and transaxles for other people. Craftsmanship, custom work. Your buddy Alan, that is true craftsmanship right there.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
does it for other people now, right?
He's a craftsman. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, and he's not passing it on; he's selling it.
Got it.
When you ask me a question like that, I'm like, well, let's break that down. Are you profiting off the craftsmanship, or are you sharing it and passing it on so it survives? Because remember, I don't do just Volkswagens. I do custom Harleys, I do custom hot rods, I do day-to-day automotive work as well. Day-to-day stuff I'll charge people for, but when it comes to the custom stuff, it's something, a skill set that needs to be passed on before it gets forgotten. So no, it's not. It's not. To answer your question with my own roundabout answer, it's not there every day.
Okay.
It's very much not so, and it needs to be. Uh, well, because these cars are what you make them, and you make them your own, which is the beautiful thing about it. But at the same time, I see a lot of people mess them up because, well, they're not being past the craftsmanship. Anybody can bolt two things together. Not everybody takes the time to make sure the sealing surfaces are flat, that you have the right gasket, that you're using the right sealant, that your clearances are proper. That's craftsmanship. That's turning a wrench is turning a wrench. So
Okay.
it's a hard question to answer.
I think you did pretty good. Well, let's talk about the hobby as a whole, how it's changed. What's better today, and maybe what's worse today in the hobby.
I can't say anything's worse. I really can't.
All right. Well, good. Let's be positive then. Let's talk about what's better.
What's better is availability.
Ooh, that's very good. That's strong.
I've seen them, West Coast Metric, J Bugs, all of them. I don't care if you like them or not, but they've stepped up to the plate and started reproducing the hard to find stuff, no matter what. Sure, it costs a little extra, but you're not finding it anywhere else. But we're not keeping these cars running without it. So that's a very big positive right there. Everything's made in China today, so we can't help that. As a person, my main business, I was just in the UK. So my foundries are there for my parts. Now we take the steps to make the parts ourselves on certain things because we understand even our parts that we're selling to our consumers are coming from friggin' China and the quality sucks. So it takes a lot of effort to go forth and reproduce something to sell to the public in a mass quantity. And these guys are doing it, and they're still keeping things affordable. So unfortunately, you have to go to China for that. But they're doing it is the point. Just that car alone, that 64 notch, there's a lot of things that are, unless you've had the car apart or you understand the intricacies of one of these cars, Gia parts are interchangeable with these because they're the same style and design, and there's very slight differences. Only a Type 3 guy is going to know the difference between a door handle on a Gia and on that. But you can't find them. Short of shipping them from the UK, you can't find NOS stuff for that car around here. So that's really the positive. And the positive also is I've noticed the culture, as we talked about earlier, it's not clicky. It's not as clicky anymore. It's all inclusive and all welcoming. And shout out to Lonnie and his wife Patty for that one around our area. They really resurrected this Volusia V-Dubs thing, which I was never a part of. I've only heard the horror stories about it, what had happened with it. But it was very clicky for a long time, was my understanding.
He almost came on the show last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was about this close. We were like 2 or 3 days out. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm not coming on." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yep, maybe some other time," and that was it.
you should hit him back up.
I never questioned it. Look, this is for the people. Literally, I do this
Right.
for the people. If you ain't comfortable or don't want to come on, I ain't gonna twist your arm. It's no big deal. You know?
He's all about the people.
Oh, I know. I
He
know.
really is.
I
And
know.
it was a great thing to see him do this and take it over and bring the community together on all fronts. We've got new cars, we've got was, we've got air cooled and we brought Volkswagens together. So
Hell,
that's the positive part about it. It's not just classics, but the classics we have brought together, I've watched him open it up and make people feel welcome. That right there is a big thing in car culture, is feeling welcome. On the other side of it, though, the hot rods and the Chevys and Ford guys, man, those guys don't have any idea what car culture is. It's fucking white New Balance, a pair of jorts, and whose credit card's bigger? There's a few of them that I know that are all right, but mostly, and that's what separates it, and that's the positive part about it, is you don't have to be special. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars into these cars. You don't have to have a one-off car. You're welcome no matter what. Positive. I've never once been to a Volkswagen event where somebody got in a fist fight. If they did, it's because it was mutual and they were messing around. it's, you know, uh, I've
good
been to
point.
plenty of other hot rod shows where there's been people getting into fights and arguments because, oh well, their Corvette is one of one because of this particular color, but that guy has the same color on his. Literally watch fights break out over that. Uh, it's
Not my folks.
No, man, it's really not, and it's hard being on both ends of the alley.
I bet.
Uh,
I bet. I don't have the what do I even want to say? Maybe the mojo? I don't have the mojo anymore. I mean, I don't have the fire in my belly anymore to really care that much about like being physical or violent about some cars and some culture,
oh
bro.
no, no, no! I've
I,
never been a physically violent person.
I just want to chill. That's
Uh,
that's what
right?
that's what I'm guilty of.
I mean, I've been in situations I've been heated and I've
Sure,
yelled,
sure,
but
sure. Stress is everywhere. Yeah, right.
yeah,
But
I've never gone out and started a fight with somebody. I've been in fights that people have picked with me, but
so
I'm
the
not that.
the enthusiasts today, are they different from back in the day or are they not?
Hard to say. Hard to say. Not a lot of people my age into this thing. I'm only 43, and not a lot of people my age that I know of uh, involved around here. A lot of older folks, past my age and younger than me. Enthusiasts.
I was talking about enthusiasts, how they've changed, if they've changed. Are they different now versus, back in the day? Because here's the thing, man. A lot of guys that I talk to are you're on two sides of the street. You've either been a Volkswagen enthusiast since high school, right? Or you've been a Volkswagen enthusiast in the last, 10, 15 years.
Oh, I got what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I'm just trying to compare, like, you've been an enthusiast for a long ass time. So I'm trying to compare the enthusiasts from your original stories from back way back in the day to enthusiasts these days around where you're at, Um, have they changed? Are they different? Or are they the same car culture type people?
Well, all those enthusiasts that I knew back in the day when I got my kick, they're still going. Strictly Volkswagen.
That's
Some of
badass.
them got some air or water cooled Volkswagens, but they're still doing it.
My son's got a
And
water. He's got a 2020 7.5 MK 7.5. It's a badass car, man.
nice. I don't know anything about them.
It's a cool car. It's got a 2 liter turbo in it, and it's peppy and yeah, I'm glad he has it. I'm a fan, but I like my old, I like low and slow. I don't like all that fast stuff, and I got a bad back, dude. You got to keep me away from all them pin you to your seat type vibes.
Right, right. So today, the enthusiasts that I know are all my senior. So they've been into it for a long time. So I can't really answer that question because one, everybody I know is still into it, and the ones
All
I
right.
do know today have been into it longer than I've ever known them.
I got one you could
So
probably answer then. How about shows? How have shows changed from, because you said you used to have like your few shows that you would participate in back in the early days to now?
yeah,
How have shows changed?
um, a lot, a lot. So my few Volkswagen shows we participate in were fantastic. It was all Volkswagens. Now I did do a lot of classic car shows. Uh, that I wouldn't go with a car. I would attend. Check it out. It's always been a thing.
Yeah.
Um, different culture, different culture, way different culture. And then coming to the East Coast, getting back into cars, the car scene here is a little different than the West Coast. Uh, we do things differently here, and again, that's what I love about Lonnie is he's bringing the West Coast flavor to the East Coast vibe when he does these shows that he does, and I am 100%. See, he says we're doing a show. I'm all about helping and volunteering on those shows because
Cool.
of that. Because I love to see the way he does it. He brings that culture and that enthusiasm we're talking about
Yeah.
uh, to it. And I'll tell
Cool.
you the biggest difference that when was it? It was 20. I want to say 24. No, I think it's 2023. I went to a customer in Chino, California, and it just so happened to be Moon Eye's New Year's party at Irwindale Speedway was that weekend. So I had the weekend off, and Irwindale was only 20 minutes from my hotel. So I went down there. First car show I'd ever been to in California. And it was a Moon Eye show at that in a drag race. Way cool. Tons of Volkswagens, tons of Chevys, Fords, and everything else there because, well, it's Moon Eyes and it's a drag strip. But the first thing I noticed going there is I sat and was like, whoa, this is nothing like home. You go to a car show here, everybody's in line, everybody's lined up, got the little chair out, and polishing their car. Nobody's communicating, they're not grouped up. It's just boom, 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 boom down the line. No certain order of who's with who, unless they, you know, happen to roll in together. Go over there, you can't walk through the parking lot. The parking lot itself is a car show. The car show is just happens to be there. The West Coast car show, man, it blew my friggin' mind because I'm over here like, yeah, all right, I'm building this notch. All right, let me see what they got out here. This is California. This is land of the dub over here.
Mm.
I'm walking through the parking lot. There's a notchback. There's a square back. There's a bus. There's a bug. There's all of a sudden there's 100 friggin' Volkswagens in one corner. 4 different car clubs, but each club has a tent up and a barbecue going, and all their guys right there. And then I turn around after looking at all these Volkswagens. I go to the other side of the parking lot. Holy shit. Chicano lowriders. A whole bunch of them all lined up. Again, tents, tent, barbecue, barbecue, barbecue. Cars on display. The car show is in the parking lot, not the actual car show. You go to that, it's all vendors. It's all vendors in a drag race. So their culture over there is ridiculous compared to ours. It ruined car shows for me here. It just took all the luster out of them over here. So now it's on the regular car shows. I stick to the Volkswagen shows because it's very welcoming and it's just a weird thing. It's hard to describe unless you've experienced it for yourself. Uh, the difference between the two. So
let's touch
that's
on
how it's changed.
let's touch on social media. How has social media affected the hobby? You said earlier, this was before the days where we could Google stuff, or watch a YouTube video, to help us fix things or whatever. How has social media affected the hobby over time?
Well, I mean, quite positively, actually. Uh, you know, in our communities, in the Volkswagen community especially, uh, I don't see a lot of trash talking when somebody's trying to figure something out. Um, of course, everybody calls out the blatant obvious. The ones that lack the firm grip of the obvious on their own questions. But that's just social media razzing. But as a whole, social media has, I think, has really led to a lot of people being able to do their own work, help them build the confidence in doing or figuring out what it is they're trying to figure. Because you go in there, hey, I've got this, and this. One person answers. Well, if you don't like that person's answer, wait 5 more minutes. 9 more people will answer with 9 more different things to say about it. So it gives you a good understanding that you can formulate your own opinion and extrapolate what you need out of it to solve your problem. You didn't have that back in the day. It's almost instant now. It's like I can be out there, hey guys, I got this. Can somebody tell me real quick what this piece of it does and how I should address it? And 20 minutes later, you've got an answer. Which back in the day, you did that. You had to go find the person that knew that.
Right.
And by the time you had time to do that, you're 4 days down the road. By the time you get the information out of him and learn how to do it and understand what he's talking about, you're another 2 days down the road. So then you're another 4 days down the road before you get the time to put the part back on and you've forgotten it all. so,
I agree, man.
so
I think it's been a super positive thing. Technology has even allowed things like this podcast to be produced
it's
and,
amazing.
smashed all over social media, all the outlets that are there, all the podcast platforms that are there. This podcast has been downloaded in like 78 countries. Like,
Hell
what?
yeah.
What? A Volkswagen
Must
podcast?
make you feel pretty good. You should be pretty proud of that.
I am for sure. But what I'm more proud of is I'm proud of our culture and our community because it's that cool. It's
It
so cool
is.
that people are willing to grin and bear it in other languages. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is just so cool. But yeah, I'm kind of over time I've watched this whole YouTube and social media thing, really kind of explode. And I feel the same way. I'm like, it's a positive. Like, I remember when YouTube was first coming up, '09, '08 ish. My daughter's, a young girl. She's learning about makeup and learning about hair and, that type of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. You ask me a question. I don't know. Did you look it up on YouTube? She had a tablet, back in the day or a little, iPad or whatever as a young, 6, 7, 8-year-old young woman, little girl, baby girl. And she'd be watching YouTube and learning stuff. And then she'd be putting stuff together. And I'm like, damn, how'd you get so good at that? Oh, I watched it on YouTube. I'm like, oh, yo.
That's back when YouTube was good. Now it's full of brain rot.
Well, I don't really use it because I'm not really, well, I don't use it for my hobby. I am not the best mechanic. I'll just put it out there and be 100%, honest about it. I got a bad back. I don't really like being down on the ground because I have a hard time getting up because my back's so bad. I've had 2 back surgeries, whatever. I'm not making excuses, but here's what I will say. There are people that are a lot better than me at this shit. And, if I know enough to get myself in trouble and be dangerous, but I don't want to hurt myself, man. I want to enjoy my cars and I want to
Right.
drive them and like I don't know. I just don't want to. Yeah. So
Well,
I'm the guy that's got to pay for work, unfortunately.
that's fine. That is fine. It is okay to support somebody else's craftsmanship, as we were talking about earlier. But that's the thing with craftsmen. Those of us that do this work, you got to stay humble because you don't know it all. And the minute you start thinking you know it all is when you start making mistakes.
So let's talk about the future. What excites you about the future of the Volkswagen community?
I don't really know what excites me about it outside of scheduled events. The scheduled events excite me.
You got to come down to some of ours.
Where are you at?
St.
St.
Pete,
Pete?
Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
Um,
V-Dubs over the Skyway. We got a really awesome event called V-Dubs on the Pier downtown at the St. Pete Pier. That's that ride, or not a ride. It's a parade in the morning, and then we park on Spa Beach, and we can't go anywhere from like 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon because of the fire marshal. You're not allowed to have your engine running, nothing. You just got to post up. But you're on a peninsula. You're surrounded by water on 3 sides. It's epic. There's 250 cars and it's really starting to get some traction. We'd love to have you.
is there trailer parking?
Um, there is, yes.
All right. Because I've got a thing with this car, 95, I'll drive it all day long because I got people all up and down at any given spot that I can say, hey, I broke down. I need help if I can't fix it on the road. Tampa, I'll barely even drive my damn Denali over there.
Hey, bro, I don't blame you. Believe me when I say that, I don't. But there's a lot of folks here, good folks here, that would also
Oh, I know there is.
drive
It's
to the
it's the
occasion.
car.
Yeah.
Remember, that's an early '90s
Hey,
motor.
man. Trailer it in, dude.
Expired.
All good.
I just,
Yeah. No, we
I
have
won't
several
road
folks.
trip it that far until I rebuild the motor, which is coming in the next year.
Vo-
I'll,
uh, Barbie Cecil, she almost came down. Volkswagen Barbie, she had registered last year for the Pier show. She was going to come and also set up as a vendor. She had like a this huge badass bus. When I say bus, I'm talking like a fucking band's tour bus, like a big badass bus. Then
wow,
attached to that bus was a double axle trailer, like a tall trailer with like, probably two cars in it. But this setup, bro, was like, I want to say it was like 60 or 80 feet in length. And she was asking me like, where can I park this thing? So I got with my connections at the city and I'm like, yo, here's a picture of this setup. The guy's like, dude, badass. Yeah, I got a spot for her. So
nice.
so yeah, some things came up and she didn't make it, but she's probably coming this year. And I know a couple of the other guys from Tennessee and Alabama are going to be coming. Yeah, they're going to be
I'll
coming.
check it out. When is that one?
That one's January 23rd.
January 23rd. Okay.
Yeah, I know Brad
I'll
Long.
keep an eye out for the event reminder and see what the
Yeah,
wife wants to do. So I'll definitely throw it on the trailer and take it over there. In
yeah, dude,
fact,
it'd
I'm
be
going to take
awesome.
it up to Maggie Valley in September.
Yeah,
Uh,
come
the
hang,
trailer.
man. Come come see. And then the Skyway is April. We do another one. That's a ride, and that'd be cool because it's not really a far ride. It's just over the bridge. We park.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so that's a pretty cool one. And then we do the same ride in December, but we do this one at night. So it's a nighttime. The Skyway Bridge is famous and pretty much world known for because it lights up at night, and they change the lights for the different seasons and they were just
Okay.
red, white and blue for July 4th and they're orange and shit for Halloween and they're red and green for Christmas and but in December we do the Skyway PM edition. And the catch on that one is everybody's got to set their cars up with the LED lights and we do awards for the baddest, light display on your car. So that's a fun one because we rent out the North Skyway Fishing Pier and we're all like, the fucking Huntington Beach vibe. We're all
Nice.
out on the pier on the water and it's sick. So yeah, that'd be a really cool one for you to come to as well.
No, I'll look forward to that for the future of the hobby.
Yeah. Hey man, there's something that excites you about the future. See?
Yeah. Shows. I would say shows. I love going to shows and, you know, because it's such a break from my normal life. And that's really all I do outside of work is my Volkswagen shows or play baseball every other Sunday.
Me
That's
too.
all I do for myself. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
me too. I mean, I've got five kids, so I do a lot of that. Um,
right.
I do a lot of that stuff. But my kids are actually getting older, and I don't really have, as much time with them as I did when they were younger because, well, dad's dad now, and he's not this cool guy they all look up to. Now he's just, oh, come on, dad.
Yeah, my son's still 8, so he still thinks I'm
Oh,
the coolest thing since peanut butter.
fuck badass. Hang on to that, man, because it's coming. No, but that's me too. I through Salty Dub, me and Alan, we put together about five shows a year, and I'll be honest, man, I look forward to them. We don't make a ton of money on these shows. We don't, shit. Some of them even cost us money, and it's okay. We do it because we're passionate about it, and it's a good vibe. We get a bunch of people together. There's good food, especially at the Pier Show. There's food vendors that come, and the food is top notch. Food trucks. I mean, sick. But yeah, man, good times. But I relate to that. I'm in the same boat. I don't really have a lot of hobbies outside of Volkswagen either, and I look forward to shows as well. Let's talk about advice. What advice would you give to somebody that is coming into the scene now, or maybe buying their first Volkswagen?
Know what you're getting yourself into.
Ooh, that's a really good advice.
Uh,
What do you
yeah.
mean? Elaborate for me.
I've seen all too many people buy Volkswagens or any classic automobile, and they don't do the due diligence of looking underneath the car, looking in the seams of the car, knocking on the panels, looking where they come together. A fender meets the body, or where the pinch welds are, popping the hood and looking in the door jambs. They Too many people don't do that. And they drag the car home. Oh, hey man, I just spent 10 grand on this car. Got it home, and it's a rusty bucket. Well, did you look at it first, or were you awestruck by the shiny paint job? Been in the hobby for way too long to not look at all that, even with newer cars. So the best piece of advice I can give to that is be thorough, do your due diligence, take a magnet with you. Magnets don't stick to Bondo. And if there's Bondo, there's been a wreck. So, save yourself the money. Kind of goes hand in hand with, oh, I can fix it. Can you?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Well, just because you think you can doesn't mean you can.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I'm
but
even
somebody can.
I'm guilty of that. I think I can and thought I could a whole bunch of times already and been like, God dog it.
I mean,
Got myself in over my head on this one.
yeah, been there, done that. And that's the learning mistake. That's the learning curve. And, that's just one of those things. Unless you have the fortitude to power through it and learn it, it's something you got to look out for, especially when you're starting out on any hobby. But in general, when it comes to cars, or even when you're talking to the guy that you're going to pay to fix your car, never ever pay the guy that says I'm 100% sure this is the problem. A minute mechanic is 100% sure is when he starts making mistakes on no matter what front you're talking about.
It's good
Well,
advice.
I never tell people I'm 100% sure. I'll tell you I'm 98% sure, but there's always a chance I'm wrong. I don't know it all.
It's good advice, man. Actually.
It's it's held true to me and it's gotten me out of positions a lot, a lot. And stay humble. Stay humble, really, is what it is. Because you're dealing with a car that's built in 1964 in my case. Some people 1955. Stay humble because it's going to throw you some curveballs and you're going to freak out. Wow.
I got some rapid fire questions. These are
Okay.
questions that would demand a fast response. If a story comes of it, I'm not going to stop you. I actually encourage it. However, looking for first thing that comes to mind. All right, quick fire. You ready? You look confused. You all right?
I was wondering if I could say boobies or not because that's always on my mind.
Well, yeah, you can. Of course you can. What? This is your podcast, dude. Of course you
You
can.
said the first thing that comes to my mind.
Uh, hey, birds of a feather flock together. Um, I'm in the same boat. All right, you ready? Rapid fire.
Yeah,
Oval,
let's go.
oval, or split?
Neither.
Neither. I'll take it. Type 1 or type 3?
Type 1. I love my type 3. It's special to me, but I'm a bug at heart.
Okay. Stupid one. But I'm gonna let it fly because you said this earlier. Carburetors or fuel injection?
Ooh, application dependent. Depends on what you're
Okay.
trying to do.
Okay. Cow look or German look?
What are you comfortable with?
I like cow look.
I mean, I like how look too, but it's like personal preference. Uh, some cars look good German. Some cars look good cow look. That's
Hey man,
all there is to it.
it's your question. You can do whatever you want to with it, brother. Um, stock or custom?
Custom, definitely custom. There's way too much cool shit out today to be stock.
I dig it. Best VW event that you've attended?
No, for sure,
Ooh, nice.
for sure. Those guys do a bang up job,
They do. They
and
do.
it is just an amazing event.
Yeah, he's come on too and fantastic. Yes, and I agree. Most memorable person that you've met through VWs?
Ed, Ed Edwards, for sure. Not only have I known him the longest out of anybody I've known in this culture, but he's definitely the most memorable. He's taught me the most.
Okay, I like it. One VW you'll never sell.
That one, the notch.
The notch, the one behind me.
Correct.
Baby got sauce.
Yes. You have to look up the song.
One VW that you wish that you had back.
Oh, 71 bay window,
Mm,
two-thirds bench bus. It was a
mm.
walkthrough.
A
I,
walkthrough.
yeah.
71. First year of disc brakes.
Yes. I ended up trading that car to Nate West for a custom-made beam for my car that was monogrammed and everything, and he turned it into the bell pepper. And I got the car from my first wife's sister, but it was a cool bus. It was a unique bus.
It's one of my favorite years. I
Two
love
thirds
the
bench wall walk through. Two-thirds bench wall. There was a walk through bus from the front, so I had a
yeah.
swivel seat in it. The driver's seat was a swivel seat.
Oh, cool, man. I
Yeah, it was,
My favorite bus is the Bay. Um, I just love I love the bay window. I'm more of a transporter type, not the camper type, so I like the bench seats. 10 top. But 71, dude, I was this close last year to getting one, and I was going to trade my Gia away for it. It was a fair trade in my opinion. It was a beautiful bus. It was a little lower, just drop spindles. It wasn't too crazy. But perfect stance, great bus, 71. Had a 1600, a newer 1600 in it. It was just a great bus. I couldn't get it. It was in Connecticut and I just couldn't make it. I couldn't make the deal happen. And, it's all good. These things come and go in our lives. And, my Gia is not really my Gia. It's my wife's Gia because my wife wanted it more than any other car anywhere.
of
Um,
y'all's.
Right, right. But she's not into the hobby like I am.
Yeah,
And
my wife's not into my car either. She loves it. The fact I built it. She
yeah, yeah,
doesn't like
yeah.
people staring at her while we're driving. It's a
And
clown car to her.
so the last like year, so a Bondo story. I'll let it happen here real quick. My son ran into the Gia with the zero turn lawnmower. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh no. Put a good sized dent in the side of it. But what came of the dent was this really weird spot where like the side had cracked and this piece of metal had like flaked out. And I'm like, metal don't do that. The hell is,
right.
yeah, what the hell is that? Magnet. Uh-oh, it's Bondo. So it was better than Bondo. It was fiberglass over Bondo.
Oof.
So when I peeled it back, there was a rust hole about that big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that they had covered down at the bottom. So when we bought this car, pans clean, panels clean, rockers, everything was really clean. This one spot, and then up near the headlights, there were some rust bubbles coming on the top of the dome for the gears. So I took it to a guy, and while it was there, I actually had the trim because the trim got that's where my son hit it right on the side. The trim got dented, and he had asked me about replacing the trim, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like the look of the Carmen Gia without the trim.
Oh,
So
yeah.
can we
Why it's
weld?
not on mine?
Yeah, can we weld them holes closed? He's like, yeah, I can do that. So I got all the metal fixed. That's my Bondo story. But here's the rest of the story. Across the bottom of the car is primered now, faded into this beautiful, forest green paint. My wife
Okay.
was like, "What are you doing? It's the ugliest car I've ever seen. Why would you have taken the delivery of the car like this?" I'm like, "It's a work in progress, honey. Shit doesn't happen overnight." She's like, "No, it's
Right.
fucking ugly, and I don't even want to be seen in it." I'm like, okay. So it's been a while. Like I've been driving it around like that for probably 8 months, 9 months, where all the metal work's been done. It's beautiful. It's sound, it's solid as shit now, but it looked ugly because it was primered and basically ready for paint, ready to be painted. I just wasn't a priority for me. I had a thing for a little while and now I've got my 62 and I'm trying to remain in the hobby and take care of, some of my projects. I kind of put her car on the back burner. When the trade didn't happen, this guy was going to, by the way, trade me the way it looked. When the trade didn't happen, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my focus back on this Gia and I'm going to finish it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it all. I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna lower it. Put my wheels on it. Put some interior on it. If you want to be seen in a nice car, fine. I'm gonna make it nice. So that's been my focus for the last probably 4 or 5 months. Has
Nice.
Yeah, has
Very
been all Gia. So now my 62, I've got a 1776 in the garage waiting to go in it, but now it sits
How many
covered.
horsepower is it?
Yeah. Funny. Now it sits and it's on the back burner as the Gia is more developed, and I'm way good with that, man. I'm way good with that. All right, back to you. Back to you. Any upcoming events? Anybody that's listening can come and see you, come see this car at.
Ooh, the only one that's scheduled is Maggie Valley, September 18th, 19th weekend up in North Carolina. It's the only one I'm going to, solidified that I'm going to. Besides our monthly show our monthly get together for Volusia V Dubs at Big Tuna last Saturday of every month. We're there from 11 to 2, and we do a raffle drawing. And as long as you drove a Volkswagen, you get a free ticket. So we do
Cool.
that every month. I will probably be at Canal Street in New Smyrna Beach this weekend. That's a 27-year tradition in town. That's
Cool.
all kinds of makes and models. A few of us Volkswagen guys go out there on the regular. But outside of that, that's about it.
Describe the Volkswagen community for me in just one word.
Doublicious.
No one's ever had that one. That's a good answer. I like that. All right, final question. You ready for it?
Sure.
If your notchback could talk, what's the one story that it would tell?
I've never thought about that. It would probably tell me to put AC in my garage. I, you know, I that's a good question because that car has seen some things in its lifetime,
More
and it's
more than
been
more than
places.
a lot of humans.
Yeah,
Just the
yeah,
journey itself of where it's been, its footprint that it's covered is more than a lot of
exactly.
people have even covered in their lives.
Just knowing Uncle, well, because he's my uncle, and that car knowing him, that car has seen a lot of beaches in Hawaii, a lot of surfboards, a lot of boogie boards, a lot of Volkswagen shows over there. It's and same here. Uh, we should write a book about that car and the stories it would tell. Man, that'd be amazing. Man, that's a tough question, man. But I'm sure it would be something about that. Ohana love.
And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.